Welcome back to The Dawn Show. Dr. Ishman and my husband, Larry Menti. We're talking about Cenogenics. Doesn't Larry look good just in time for swimsuit season in the Jersey Shore? You're going to kill me. I
finally can get in that bikini I've always wanted to get into.
The tankini.
That I got to see a picture of.
So there are a lot of myths about weight loss, hormone therapy, and these are actually your myths that you had given to me, and I love this list. So let's go through them. It's a top 10 list of the myths. So the first one is cardio is better than weights. Just forget about the weights, do cardio.
That's right. That's definitely a myth. When you, if you want to lose weight, a lot of people just think cardio, cardio, cardio. But most of the time, they're not really burning that many calories when they're doing their cardio. If you do strength training and keep your muscle mass up, you'll burn more energy just sitting at your desk and doing the things that you normally do. So when people lose a lot of weight and don't do any weight training, they tend to lose a lot of muscle mass as well.
And number two is eating lots of whole grains is really good for you.
Huge myth. Whole grain, people are on the whole grain fad, and so they're increasing their carbohydrate intake. And these whole grains, today the wheat is very different than it used to be, and that's really increasing their carbohydrate intake, their insulin levels, which actually stores fat.
Which is scary. Number three is HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, causes cancer in women, blood clots and all kinds of problems.
Well, that depends on what hormones are used and how they're delivered. The Women's Health Initiative that came out in 2002 that
scared the heck out of all of us.
Right. That was with Premarin and Prempro. Premarin comes from pregnant mare's urine, horse urine.
Okay, so
and
horse pee is bad. So
right.
There you go.
Right, and the progestin was a synthetic progesterone, and yes, it did increase the risk of breast cancer and blood clots, but when given properly using bioidentical hormones, that's just not the case.
Testosterone given to men causes prostate cancer.
Once again, wrong. That was the old thought. That's what I was taught when I was in medical school and for years later, but multiple scientific studies have proven that it's just simply not the case, although a lot of doctors still believe that.
And what's the next one about normal blood tests? Normal blood tests are fine?
Well, normal blood tests, the normal ranges for many lab tests are very, very wide, and they're simply designed to include 95% of everybody. So, for example, the normal range for, say, testosterone in men is 250 to 1100. That's quite a range, and it makes a big difference in terms of your health, let alone how you feel, whether you're at the lower end of that range or at the upper end of that range, and they're both normal.
You really focus. Oh, go ahead.
Mine was, when I was tested, was in the 600s, which was not bad. You said it was a little low, but it wasn't bad. And then Dr. Ishman told me, let's get it up to about 1,000.
Okay. And you take a shot every month?
Yeah, I actually give myself an injection, which I was freaked out about it.
Which I wanted to do, but you wouldn't let me.
Every week.
Oh, every week.
Yeah, you were angry at the time.
Come over here, let me stick this
But it's
needle.
not that bad. I mean, I'm afraid of needles, and I didn't like the idea, but it's not that bad. But what I wanted to tell you was just from that level, from 600 to 1,000, is an amazing difference. The feeling you have is incredible. Stop.
What?
The feeling you have from going to 600 to 1,000 is amazing. Do the myths. I'm sorry I said anything.
Yeehaw, that's all I'm going to say. Come on, you knew I was going to go there, right? Okay, so osteoporosis is just a women's problem.
Well, as I alluded to earlier, a lot of men have low bone density. Some have overt osteoporosis, but many have osteopenia, which is on the way to osteoporosis. And they're not even screened for it. Even after they break a bone, they're generally not even screened for it because we just don't think of it as a man's problem.
And read labels for sugar content. This is a big one.
Correct. We look at labels and we look at the sugar, and sometimes the sugar content is relatively low, so we think it's good, but the total carbohydrates are often very high. And these carbohydrates tend to behave just like sugar. So you should really consider all carbohydrates to be sugar on a label.
Oh, that's so interesting.
If you're trying to lose weight, especially.
And a lot of people think just walking every day is the best exercise.
Well, walking is better than nothing if that's, and it's okay if it's all you can do. But it does not, you need to stress the system if you want to increase the capacity of the system. So you have to actually put a little effort to it if you want to condition your heart and actually if you want to burn more fat.
I don't want to steal your line, but you have a great line about how to do the exercise, that you should run in spurts and not run distance.
Correct. It's called interval training. And so you go, basically you go faster and you go slower. You go faster and you go slower.
Because
Because it's the, well,
it's a great line. I just want him to say it. That's the only reason I'm
I'm
front
not
in
sure
your
I have it right.
The line was that we, in the days of
okay.
Primitive
cavemen.
cavemen.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
well, when we were cavemen and we had to run like heck to get our food or run like heck to not be food.
Okay.
And we didn't have to do
That's
it for a long
awesome.
time. We just had to run fast.
Well, speaking of food, another myth is that red meat is bad for you.
Red meat in and of itself is not necessarily bad for you. It's processed meats that are the real problem. Processed meats include smoking, salting, and various addition of various chemicals. But, for example, steaks and hamburger per se are not necessarily bad.
And the last myth is eggs are bad for you, bad for the cholesterol.
Eggs are not bad, not even the egg yolks. Studies recently have confirmed that when you even leave the yolks in, that you can have greater improvements in blood sugars, in good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. So that's a myth that has been broken.
You know, one thing that was interesting was that when Larry first said he was going to take testosterone shots, and I thought, oh, does that affect his mood? But on the contrary, like even the keel or even more. It was
Because
amazing.
people mix it up with steroids.
Okay,
And
you think of the
people
whole-
think right away, oh, you're taking testosterone, that's like taking steroids because baseball players and athletes juice up with testosterone. But you told me early on that their levels are
Through the
5,
roof.
6 times the normal that they take. You're just getting up to a high normal level. And actually, my mood has evened out. I
Yeah.
don't get as angry. And so it's exactly the opposite effect.
When you feel better,
Right.
you're going to have a more even keel.
Yeah, absolutely. So do people say this to you? The wives, think, oh boy, the sex life is good. I mean, is that the first thing you get? I imagine this
You
is
really
kind
have
of
a one-track mind.
I
Isn't it
don't have a
amazing?
one-track mind.
No, you usually hear that more from the men.
Oh,
When
okay.
up front, the women might be thinking it, but they're not. They're not.
They're not like
admitting.
me, they're not a big mouth.
Right. They're not. They're not saying it, but they're. They're not. The men are more concerned about that.
So a lot of people might say, well, is this a program just for men? I mean, Cenogenics is for women too, right?
Absolutely, we take care of women as well, and it's just that we have more men than women in the program, and a lot of women don't come because they're afraid of hormones because of that study that came out, and they don't really understand the difference. Sometimes when you speak with women and you mention the word hormones, they kind of close their ears
Because of that one bad study
Right.
you mentioned years ago.
Does it have the same effect for women?
Yes, it does, although it's a little harder. Women that have a problem with their weight, have to be honest that it's a little harder for them to get the weight off than it is for men. As I always say, men are simple, just give us a remote control, and we're good. But if men eat a little better and do a little bit of exercise and we do our job in getting their metabolism and their hormones straightened out, it's a no-brainer. Women take a little more, they have to work a little harder, to be honest with you, and we have to get things more fine-tuned for
Okay.
women, especially the thyroid.
Yes, that's a big one. We have a question from one of our viewers who wants to know, are you ever too old to start the program? I guess if you're 120.
I suppose so, but we have people, in their 80s that are fine. I think if someone is already in an extremely bad state of health, it's probably not going to fix them. But I don't know that age per se is a limiting factor.
And how long do you have to be on the therapy?
Well, generally, most people stay with us long term unless they, for some reason, have to withdraw from the program. Because the hormones, they decline with age, and once we correct them, if you stop doing it, they're going to fall back to where they were. So that's what's going to happen if you stop the program.
So if people come into the program, it's just, in essence, they're battling the aging process,
That's correct.
which is pretty amazing.
And I'm convinced, I'm absolutely convinced I'm going to live longer because of this.
Well, we don't have 30 years worth of data to say that you're going to live longer, but if we are lowering your cholesterol, lowering your blood pressure, lowering your various risk factors for heart disease, stroke, cancer, osteoporosis, it stands to reason that you'll probably live longer unless you get run over by a truck or something like that.
On that thought, we're going to talk a little bit more about your long-term effects when we come right back, when our conversation continues here on Dawn. And welcome back to the Dawn Show, live talking to Dr. Raymond Ishman of Cenogenics and my good-looking husband, Larry Menti, who's lost 21 pounds. Seriously, congratulations. I mean, this is one of my themes, as you know, health, fitness, feeling good, looking good. So I'm proud of you, Larry. That's hard to lose 21 pounds in 3 months.
And we were talking during the break of all the things that we listed that have been a benefit since I started just 3 months ago. You noticed my skin's better. So, I mean, that was something we didn't even think about that is just a side benefit. Everything has been better.
Good.
Yeah. Larry pointed out I did say yeehaw on the show. Sorry.
Yeah, you said yeehaw in talking about sex. So it was, you know, it was like a perverted Annie Oakley.
I wanted to say giddy up.
Yeah, no.
We didn't say giddy up. Well, listen, thank
Got
you. I know. Sorry, Larry. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, because I feel like you did add years to my husband's life. So thank you, Dr. Ishman.
And thank you for having me.
And we'll follow along, see how Larry's doing. This is only 3 months, so we'll keep following up. It'll be a lot of fun. And that's it for now. We'll see you tomorrow live right here on Dawn. I hope you visit me on Facebook on Dawn and us here at WMCN. I hope you have a great day. Keep it healthy and keep it good. Have a good one, everybody.